All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back. This is Silver 5150 with the broker. Hi, broker.
How you doing?
This is part two of our chat with the broker, and we are juicing today. And here we have, well, this looks very gold. What is this called?
Ironically, it's called liquid gold.
Really? Liquid gold. So, I mean, honestly, what better way for stackers to juice than with liquid gold?
There's no better way.
There is no better way. So we're going to continue on this juice cleanse, guys. And if we have to break away during the video, you understand, right? Of course you would. All right. So we're going to continue with our juicing, but we're going to continue with our chat with the broker. So, look, I've been asking you a bunch of questions and stuff like that. Was there anything you wanted to maybe backtrack on or address in the last video?
Yeah, throw a couple things out there. And again,
Sure.
guys, a lot of this is just a very kind of a summary of trying to give you guys a lot of points on a lot of different things. Other videos, I'm going to try to get in here involved with 5150 a little bit more often if I can.
Yay!
And stuff like that. Trying to touch on so many different points all in these one videos and not keep them too long. So I apologize for not being as
succinct. Dude, they're at work. They're sitting there. They're just kind of listening. They're not even like looking at most of the stuff I'm doing. They want to hear what you got to say. Let them have it. Let them have it.
So, again, guys, I really want to expand, or not necessarily expand, but re-elaborate. Network is huge. Mm-hmm. Another reason why I'm really excited about going to that coin shop here later today is because now we finally have a new one locally that we can go to. That's a really good avenue for being able to liquidate any of this stuff in the future and building those relationships with those types of people. Coin shops, more often than not, and I'm not talking about pawn shops and people that are these thrift places, you know what I mean, where you go in there and they're going to basically give you nothing for a lot,
right,
and then turn around and charge you a lot for little,
right.
When we went, I would still call it local, what we took about a 2-hour drive it was or so a week or two ago,
right.
Pulled up on Google, looked at probably a number of, there's 30 different places. Look for the guys that are going to be one of us.
Right. They can talk the talk, they walk the walk, they've got the goods, they are stackers.
Yeah, and the legit ones, and those are going to be the kind of people that, when you go talk to them, you'll be able to feel them out, whether they're trying to hose you or take you for a ride and anything like that. Just realize that there are enough avenues out there that if you don't like the ways, some of the deals with some of these people are going, walk away. There are numbers of other places.
They are.
Which is why when AppMix, again, pull some of their shenanigans, they have a piece right now that I would like to get, and I want it, but I'm hesitant because I don't really want to give them my business.
Well, if you can give it to someone else,
I can give it to somebody else. So supporting the right kind of people and having the right type of people in your network is going to be huge, both on a personal level with the people, with your friends and your family, to business level with outlets to be able to sell and trade.
Right.
So on that avenue, expansion would be, don't be afraid, you guys, to play the sites. Like I said, I've had my computer up with 15, 20 tabs in one at a time, so that way I can pull up any one retailer. So I'll say for example, I'll have that next on the phone.
Right.
I've done this a number of times. And I'll have, JM Bullion, Bold Precious Metals, Golden Eagle Coins, just to name a few, a whole bunch of these sites up, and I can sit there right then, get live numbers, and be on the phone with them, and I'm like, well, you guys are wanting this site's got it over here for that, it's the exact same item.
Wow.
So I can still get free shipping. Give me a reason why I should give you my business.
Right.
It's no longer me shopping for you, it's you shopping for buyers. Realize, you guys, that yes, you guys want to get your precious metals, but a lot of these precious metal dealers and retailers, yes, we asked the question, well, why would they sell these precious metals for fiat, if fiat isn't really going to be worth anything later?
Right.
They're still trying to position themselves too, and we're still in an avenue and in a system right now where fiat is still king and it still matters.
Right.
So they'll sell to you for a little bit of a profit, take that profit and use that profit to acquire metals for themselves. So you don't think that they're not still stacking at the same time.
Right. Well, I was thinking the other day, I was talking to a coin shop dealer, and I've actually had some friends tell me the same thing, that one of their biggest fears, and I think Silver Joker covered this on one of his videos, one of our biggest fears is not being able to source product to sell. The worst thing you could be is a local coin shop or even a big online retailer and not have anything to sell. The precious metals vendor without precious metals, that's a nightmare. And so, of course, they are now realizing they're heading into the buy side. where we used to be, and they used to, have their way with us. Well, now it's going to be our chance to have our way with them, and basically set the terms and set the numbers and set the prices depending on how big their need is. So, absolutely, your technique works in this direction too, for people that are looking to try to take advantage or later on get on the sell side.
Absolutely, and don't just take my word for it or 5150's word for it. Like look out there. There's a lot of other really good sources out there for information, and there's a lot of really bad sources for information, and you can really kind of start to weed out what you think is what you think is bull, what you think is valuable information. If you find some really good credible sources, one could be Kitco.
Right.
Even though they are a metals dealer and they are metal bulls, I really kind of like some of their recent videos where they're getting people out there that come from a lot of different walks of life and perceptions and professionalism and different aspects.
The more opinions we have about what's going on, the better.
All right, and then you can kind of really get to the point where you can see like, okay, well these are obvious points that these guys are pushing, and these are some of the neutral points that all of them really agree on. And I'm sorry to tell you, but one of those really big points is you should be holding some metals.
Absolutely.
And that the run up on metals is not done. And even if you want to be like, oh, well, metals, are going to stagnate for a little while, having little drops and lulls and everything like that are actually good for a healthy market and a healthy run up. So don't get discouraged, guys. Even if you buy and you turn around tomorrow and all of a sudden you're like, dang it, freaking bought an ounce of gold, and then today they slapped it down $50, and if I had just waited, trust me, 5150 and myself have done that a number of times.
Oh, man. If I had an ounce of silver for every time, I wouldn't have a stack.
Well, there you go. And
every time it's happened.
I mean, as knowledgeable and as crafty as you can get, and as much as I, that I do know about how to play in all the different markets, there's still plenty of stuff that I don't know, and that's why every day I'm telling you guys, do your homework, get out there, learn things. I've been doing this stuff for a really long time, and there's still stuff that right now we're in a market we've never really been in before.
Right.
There's going to be little things that happen that you're just like, well, what the heck? Well, there's not, trend lines or history or different types of things that you can necessarily go on to completely mirror a frame of reference to go off of. But you can definitely have that as a foundation to understand and to make good, logical, educated decisions to where you can minimize the amount of hurt if you perhaps jump on something too soon or whatever.
Right.
But you guys got to realize, okay, back when silver just got punched earlier this year and it was down in like the 14s and the 13s, and then all of a sudden, a month later it's in the 17s, and you're like, dang it, I wish I would have bought in the 14s and now it's in the 17s. Well, okay, you bought in the 17s, big whoop, now you're at 27. You still got to buy and realize that
You're going to
long
win.
terms, it's the smart thing to do.
You're going to win. Because basically when you look at it, say, you're talking about basically currencies against each other. So a lot of things I hear the financial media talk about out there is they say things like, well, the U.S. dollar is the strongest currency out there. There's no other currency that can supplant it or replace it. And so, it's going to be around for a long time. Yeah, but strangely enough, when they do that, they always discount silver and gold. Silver and gold are currency. They're the premier currency. And I could tell you guys stories about exchanges and trades and purchases I've made with gold and with silver, but I don't want to expose myself to possibly some legal entanglements. I don't think there would be. I just not going to take a chance. The point is this. I've purchased cars, firearms, ammo, clothes, musical instruments, almost anything you can think of, food, with precious metals. I've done it, person-to-person transactions mostly, but even with some professional vendors and stuff. And I can tell you right now, gold and silver are money. They are money, and they're in direct competition with the dollar. Okay, so while the dollar might, beat out the euro, which it doesn't look like it's doing too good a job of today, and it will of course beat out the pesos and good lord, the Turkish lira, forget it, right? But the thing is, it's always going to lose to gold and silver. Always going to lose gold and silver. And the way you can determine that is the higher that gold and silver go up in dollar price. What did we talk about this morning? Gold and silver valued in dollars. If it takes more dollars to buy gold and silver, that means the dollar is weaker, gold and silver is stronger. End of story. And trust me, gold and silver have not been kissed and blessed by the fiat system, meaning the government system, to be used as money. But when it does, either directly or indirectly through cryptos or whatever, it is going to be an explosive replacement of the dollar. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out.
No, you're good. And time, and they know that the threat's there and the time's not really on their side right now. think about it, gold, silver, even the new cryptos that are coming out and everything like that. It is a direct threat to the established government and their ability to control everything and everything. Period. Right. Gold and silver. That's why they took us off the standard back in the 70s and everything like that, because it was a direct limit on the amount of. It was a checks and balance for the government, and they were basically tied ball and chain restraint to be able to have to work within the parameters of gold and silver and what was available for spending. Right. Once they got us into the Federal Reserve and took us off the standard in the 70s, now it's just been a printing frenzy since, and look at the pickle we're in now.
They have no limits on what they can print. Jerome Powell made that clear.
Yeah, and he's just like, I'll do whatever I have to, hence I will spend whatever I have to.
Mario, the guy that used to run the ECB, I can't remember his name. Mario, I want to say Batista. Whatever it takes. Mario Draghi. Yeah, Mario Draghi used to be the ECB chairman, European Central Bank chairman. Whatever it takes, and pretty much Powell right now is right there. Whatever it takes.
Yeah, they got their fingers so overly entangled into everything that they can keep the pulse in the economy going by manipulating things at the levels and the stuff that they are right now, but. Again, that's being threatened daily, and the more and more people that get woke up to this, and start to challenge that, it's the more power they lose. Like Alan Greenspan said, back when he was Fed chair, he's like, we will never, as a U.S., we will never default on being able to pay our debt, but what we can't promise is the purchasing power of that dollar.
That's right, because we don't have the actual savings that's required to, do that. To do that, we need to have the savings required to back that type of activity up, and we're just printing, with no direction and no slowdown at all. It's all debt.
Oh yeah, it's completely all debt. So everything that we've been talking about, and this is all stuff that myself and 5150 have been aware of, along with a number of other people. This has all been in the works for time, and right now with everything going on with the pandemic and everything else. Everything is being expedited, if you will. Right. So have a network. Definitely have some of this stuff on your side. I know it can be tight. A lot of you guys may or may not have lost your jobs and stuff like that due to the pandemic. The economy's in an absolute crunch right now. Do what you can to acquire what you can. Definitely, obviously, take care of the food, water, all that other good stuff. But you guys got to have another medium of exchange. Right. Play, I'm telling you guys, I know it sounds messed up, but we get played daily by the institutions and corporations and everything. Play them against each other. I can't tell you how many times 5150 would give me a list and he's like, these are things I want.
Yep, that's it.
And then when you can find them and do whatever you got to do, let me know what I owe you.
Yeah, that's it, because I realized your reputation at that point had gotten to where I didn't even have to question anything about your ability to get the best deal. So, and guys, I'm going to tell you straight up, I've tried to convey this in my earlier videos. If you haven't watched them, you've really missed out on a lot of fun stuff. I was doing videos back when, silver was in the 14s again and on to the 15s and 16s, and a lot of you were there for that. We took advantage of half-ounce polar bears from Royal Canadian Mint for $8.69. Bought many monster boxes of them, put them on display, all that stuff. But I'm telling you, I realized how big this thing got with gold and silver, that I was not going to be able to do it on my own. I was going to absolutely have to have help. But in order to get that help, I had to, first of all, convince, to a certain degree, people that I wanted to have in my circle that this would be a good direction to head in. Now, I have to say, broker, you were probably the least amount of trouble to convince. I think we spoke a grand total of 11 minutes and you were in. So, and then at that point, of course, you did what I was hoping you would do. You took it way beyond where I had taken it, and everybody wins, when we have that kind of cultural borrowing, especially in gold and silver and stuff. And so, man, yeah, get out there, man, and get your core people together that you trust and stuff. If you got family members don't want to listen to you, don't sit there and try to drag them in. You just find the people that have a like mind, that are as enthusiastic and, as the Silver Joker says, passionate about it, and then you embrace them, and you guys help each other use your financial tools, use your talents to take advantage of the system and to beat the corporations and the retail, institutions at their own game, and especially the Fed. Let's definitely beat the Fed at their game.
Absolutely, and it's why would all these big banks and institutions, and all of a sudden here in recent years, all of a sudden be stockpiling? And I'm not talking about like casually buying. I'm talking about stockpiling tons of gold.
Right.
to back themselves. Why is JP Morgan the largest silver holder in the world? Because apparently silver's not worth anything.
Well, no, but it could certainly back those $70 trillion worth of derivatives they're carrying around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, guys, don't necessarily just look at what the big guys are saying. Watch what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Warren Buffett and Barrett Gold.
That's what I'm saying. Watch what they're doing, and really kind of marry the two concepts together and find that nice neutral ground for yourself. You got to make sure you guys don't over leverage yourself.
Unless you have someone like the broker to back you up. Trust me, I'm telling you, I've gotten my buns in a sling more times than I could count. I probably got my buns in a sling more times than I have ounces of copper, and I got quite a bit of copper. But I can tell you this for a fact: that was a calculated move. That was calculated risk. I knew that he could step in and bail me out. I knew that Baby Duck, she could do her thing and stuff. And so that was part of my network. I was getting to it. If you don't have that in place, if you don't have that apparatus in place, then just stick within your lane, stick within your limits, do the math, and stay ahead of your expenses. That way you can stack steadily, maybe not as heavily, but you can stay in the game and you don't fall into a shortcoming.
Being in the game at all right now, especially, puts you ahead of majority of people.
Yeah, quite a bit.
So even if this, upgrades your quality of living on the other side of all of this, or like I said, think about this as, again, so many people that I've tried talking to about this, they're in the mindset of the dollars. Oh, I'm spending money on metals. You're not spending any money. You're simply converting it to money, which is what brings me to another point about how I get so fried about the point that now they want to tax metal purchases.
That is insane on its face.
Which is ridiculous because you're trading one money for another. It's a conversion. You're not buying it's not a goods or service.
Right.
Or anything. It's you're converting one money for the other. And the fact that the government wants to tax us, absolute thievery.
Right.
They want to tax any type of capital gains and everything like that on metals as being in the collectible category, which I know is in like the 20 percentile, which is outlandish. So again, being able to network, being able to now, but I think the restrictions is you have to spend $1,500 or more on metals to avoid taxes. Some places, in the beginning of all this taxing, who do you think was one of the first sites before this even became law? It was in the works, but it wasn't even law. Who do you think was one of the first places to start collecting taxes?
Was it your favorite site? The one that starts with an A?
Yeah, AppMex.
Ah, imagine that.
I wouldn't be surprised. And again, I can't, know for sure, but I've had multiple run-ins with AppMex on multiple issues and fronts. They were really good for a while, and I think that after they get you all comfortable with them and whatever, and then they start pulling some of their shenanigans. But I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe they pocketed and kept some of those tax money or whatever because they weren't necessarily having to tax people at the time.
Right.
Or some sites I would get on when everybody was taxing, and it was a $1,500 rule. Some sites would be like, no, it's a cumulative $1,500. It can be a mixture of metals, but as long as it's a total of $1,500 or more, you avoid taxes.
Right.
Okay, cool. Well, then I would go over to AppMex, and plan it out, and do what I do about, hey, we want this piece at this time and this time. I want to catch it on a pre-sale because you can avoid some of the premium. So pay attention to pre-sale items, guys.
Right.
And you would go on there, and then all of a sudden I would do that. I'd be like, let's get $1,000 worth of silver. I'm going to buy, a couple quarter ounces of gold. At the time when the gold was cheaper, I was like, I can get 2 quarter ounces of gold. And they would still be taxing me on everything because oh no, it has to be $1,500 total of each metal now. So if your order had half and half, they could still tax you on it, or you'd have to bin $1,500 on gold alone, or vice versa for silver, or you'd have to spend $3,000 total and have to be $1,500 or more on each to avoid taxes. So they started pulling all that crap to then get you to purchase more. And not necessarily purchasing more is a bad thing, but it was like you have a budget and everything. And like I said, they would make more money off of you that way. Again, their premiums are some of the highest ones out of all the retailers. So just know that, you guys, that sometimes, yes, AppMex will have things. And if you really want them, get them.
Definitely have the selection, but yeah.
Yeah, but their premiums are oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes much higher than that of some of the other sites.
Okay.
So, again, build a network. If you are like, God, I can only buy, this little bit, what I mean? But I've got some family that want to get involved. pull your resources together. You guys would be just surprised how much it'll pull you guys.
Yeah,
You
doing
know,
that volume pricing, volume purchases and stuff, and taking advantage of all that. It just, and the thing is if you're accumulating in a serious way, we talk about the passion of stealing value. So basically, this is stealing value here we're talking about. Okay, so we're stealing value, and if you're serious about this and you're stealing value, you are going to make every kind of move you can to acquire as much as you can as quickly as you can. You guys know that the timeline's drawing down. You know that it's getting close to the crucible, and so put your pride aside and start using what you got to use to get this done. And realize that if you get into a nice groove where you got everybody working as a machine to acquire this metal, that you will acquire it way faster. You can actually keep track of it. Okay? And trust me, every time you capture a single gram or a dime, okay, you are stealing value like nobody's business. Okay? This is like nobody's business. And this is going to benefit you, not just in terms of inoculating and freezing your wealth in time and in protecting it from the ravages of inflation and runaway central banks, but it is a suit of silver or gold armor you can wear through the portal that's going to take you to the next financial system. You can wear that as armor. You can get your families from one side to the other with your wealth intact. You got to stack a little bit, okay? And by the way, just one of the new metrics that we're going by is according to a global statistic in terms of how much silver, for example, there is out there available, above ground silver that is, semi or bullion grade. 60 ounces of silver in a person's possession puts them in the top 0.1% of precious metals holders, not the globe. If you want to talk about the globe, it probably puts you in like the top, 0.1%. Who knows? Because most people aren't invested in precious metals, like you said. Most people, hedge funds, retirees, 401k holders. The majority of the population, probably 99.99%, are not invested in precious metals. If they are, they're probably in SLV or paper, something like that. But the real physical stuff is in our hands. We're a very small population, and I think we're actually going to be the deciders, as it were, in the next financial paradigm, because we will have the premier currencies to do that.
Yeah, and I'm not against metal stocks at all. I think it's another great way to diversify.
It is.
I still have a retirement plan through my work. I still, hold a certain side, kitty of cash, for the current system and everything like that.
Right.
I delve, a number of my money into metals and everything like that. Diversify. Mm-hmm. But I'm a strong believer in not necessarily entrusting and putting all my apples into one basket. But that also means not necessarily giving all of my trust and all of my livelihood in the entrustment of government.
Well, let's be honest. This is what it's about, right? Basically, and the thing is, government used to be there for the people. Back in the day, government was basically a mechanism of the people that was there to do their bidding. Whereas now we have government telling us what to do. Put your mask on, And I'm not saying putting your mask on is bad. I'm just saying, just think about how much overreach they have, how much power they have and stuff. Back 150 years ago, if you were a budding congressman or senator and you wanted to try to win election or re-election, you would have to get in your carriage and you'd have to get on your horse and you'd have to go around and ride to these different towns. And you would have to basically talk to people and ask for their vote. And then once you got into office, here's the great thing about it, guys. Here's something else about gold and silver you may not know. Gold and silver would be held in the banks. And if you wanted to do something with it, you go to the bank, you get your gold and your silver out of it. It was a depository, essentially, and you go out and purchase whatever you want to purchase. But the more gold and silver that came to the banks out of the local communities told the politicians that were in charge that people were happy and more favorable to what they were doing. But once there was a draw on that gold and silver, that politician had to leave wherever he was, go out and find out what the heck was going on, because the people were exhibiting distrust in the system. And so that politician had to go out, find out what was wrong, and actually fix the problem. Let's not get into semantics here, because I don't think any of our modern governments are interested in fixing anything. No. They like to perpetuate the problems, keep them going, so they can maintain some sense of job security. Well, where does that put us? That puts us at $27 trillion on the debt clock. That puts us at possibly $14 quadrillion worth of derivatives and credit swap derivatives and all kinds of crazy stuff. That puts us at a bubble housing market and a depression in gold and silver. And why would you not want to position yourself in the next wealth cycle, which I think will be gold and silver, okay? And be able to lever that increasing, expanding, hyperinflating gold and silver against a deflating housing market, commodities, durable goods market, this sort of thing. A lot of resources and stuff are gonna. It's the things you don't really need. Those high-speed vacations, and maybe that Maserati or that Ferrari. Not saying we're going to be a bunch of coke line snorters or anything like that. My point is that you're going to have the proper medium of exchange to take advantage of a careening physical market of other things. So.
Yeah, guys, just make sure you guys keep a good mindset. This isn't about getting into metals for the idea of getting rich.
No.
That's not the point of this. Again, this is a preservation of wealth. That's how you need to think about it first and foremost. Yes, you can definitely make money on this. Hence the rhodium that we talked about earlier.
Absolutely.
That was another way to diversify. I was like, I want to make sure I have enough gold and silver set aside.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be my primary nest egg.
Mm-hmm.
But I know, following geopolitics, the mines, different things going over, like in Africa,
Mm-hmm.
The rate at which we use different types of metal, like rhodium and silver and stuff like that for industrial uses. The reasonings of why, since the diesel thing went downhill, why platinum took the huge hit.
Yeah, that's right.
Being aware of all these things and not necessarily, it can prevent you from buying at too high of highs.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing when to buy low, knowing when to play the ratios and convert one metal for another, and then you can literally. It's saying you can invest $10,000 in the metal and then keep playing the ratios back and forth, and all of a sudden that $10,000 worth of metal, because you just kept rotating it and trading it up, could be worth double that, triple that, and so on and so forth.
Here's a nice little fun fact that I bet you don't know I know about you, and that is that you did so well on moving metals around and actually playing metals against one another that I think one of your positions actually has zero cost out of pocket to you. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
So yeah, currently right now, and this is just in 2.5 years' time.
Yeah.
I have owned up to 6 metals at a time.
Right.
I'm at 5 currently.
Mm-hmm. Less rhodium.
Less the rhodium. And currently, because of the move that I made with that, it knocked down my total out-of-pocket cost for everything that I have by 25%.
Wow.
And now one of my positions currently for all my total out of cost for gold, silver, platinum, palladium, rhodium, and copper, my one position now in one of those metals covers all of my out-of-pocket cost,
right,
and then some, and that leaves all the rest of my metal as pure profit.
Okay, so I'm going to give you this eye patch to put on while you drink your juice. All right, here's a parrot. We're going to put this parrot on your shoulder. Guys, this is what I'm talking about, the piracy, the looting of the precious metals market. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to conclude this time with the broker. We really appreciate you being here, broker. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Yeah. And so, guys, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm just going to add to what he said about playing the metals against one another. We have pretty much passed the period where you're going to, if you're just now getting into the game, you're going to use, rhodium to leverage against other metals or metals to leverage against rhodium. We're past the point to even where you're going to try to leverage palladium or platinum in a sense. You could possibly buy silver if you like gold to get more gold, all right, when the gold to silver ratio starts to close. But I'm going to give you one more. I'm going to start buying more copper because I think as time moves on, we're going to watch copper close in on silver. So if you want more silver and you can't afford to buy it outright right now, buy more copper, have it in weight, and have it ready to leverage against silver once it closes the copper to silver ratio. This goes back to the new wealth cycle that may be reaching us next. All right, so guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Yes, again, a great time with the broker. This is just the beginning because we've got a lot to cover. But we ask you to please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Okay, and let us know if you kind of appreciated this collaboration, because we can certainly do more. We do like to talk, don't we?
Yes, we do. And there's a lot of stuff we just went over, and I know it was a very surface skim on a lot of different topics, but we can start to break this down a little bit more and go into more technical stuff if you want down the road.
Okay, we will do that. All right, guys, we'll catch you next time. Have a great weekend. Look forward to that GAW. Get your comments in for the GAW. We're going to do it Sunday night, and we will get you your coin. If you're a lucky winner, we'll get you your coins. All right, Silver 5150 saying thank you for joining us today, and have a great evening.